Hi, Karthik. Thank you so much for having me here. And a very, very, very big congratulations to all the finalists of the hackathon. I'm going to get started with just why I'm here in the first place. So my name's Sanna Bedi. I work with the UNICEF Office of Innovation. I specifically work with the team which is called UNICEF's Venture Fund. We are a VC within the UN agency. And very often we're asked why we do what we do and why we're here. So as you all know, half the world is not connected to the internet. We work in a world, in a reality where there are a large number of digital solutions which are being created, and yet many don't have access to these solutions. And even when they do have access to these solutions, these solutions may not be designed necessarily to solve or consider their unique realities or their unique situations. And it's exciting to see and hear from your solutions because that's the way forward and that's the way to see how we have local solutions from all over the world addressing challenges that are being faced globally. And so at the UNICEF Office of Innovation, we see ourselves positioned to work at a global scale, but be able to leverage $100 billion industries that have the potential to impact a large number of lives. Now, what we mean by that is how can we, as a UN organization agency, be able to leverage frontier technologies such as blockchain and cryptocurrency, drones, AI, machine learning, data science, along with other frontier technologies, to be able to create radical change for children. So, how can technology help us do what we want to do, but do it better, do it faster, and solve challenges that are facing children, but also UNICEF as an organization? And how can we move faster in what we want to do? And so at UNICEF, we launched a venture fund, which is a $35 million pooled funding vehicle. This fund essentially is designed to invest in open source frontier tech solutions, which are based in developing nations or emerging markets. And our focus is, of course, as I mentioned, on looking at technologies and solutions that are far from core programming. When I mean programming, I mean solutions that are already tested and we know they already work. So, what we want to invest in is solutions that are not already available in the market or that are a little bit on the early side, so that we're preparing them and growing them to become sustainable platforms. So we're a $35 million fund, and we also hold 8 Bitcoin, 2,527 ETH. And that's sort of what brings us here, which is not just our investment in blockchain solutions, but also our ability and capacity to accept, hold, and disperse cryptocurrency. So, what makes UNICEF unique and what makes the UNICEF Venture Fund different from another VC is, of course, our focus on building technologists and entrepreneurs to drive capital, financial resources, innovative financial models to markets that don't see enough of such funding. We exclusively and only invest in open source solutions. So, when I say that, we believe that open source is more scalable, more adaptable, and that's smart business. We also have a very strong focus on smart investing. By smart investing, we meant and launched it as a strategy to invest in female led and founded companies. And we're proud to say today that 43% of our portfolio is female led or founded. And we're working very hard to strengthen these numbers to reach a balanced 50%. But beyond that, we have had now the Smart Investing Initiative has been around for a few years, and we have been challenged to expand the definition of what we mean by smart investing. So we now not only want to invest in female founders, we want to expand our definition of gender to look at LGBTQ communities, to also have investments in founders that are persons who identify as persons with disabilities, to look at age, and really be able to strengthen what we mean and what we hold ourselves accountable to as our key performance indicators when we talk about smart investing. And last but not the least, of course, there's the crypto fund. And I'll come to that in just a few minutes. At the venture fund, we make investments in startups in two stages. There are two ticket sizes. You can apply to the fund for $100,000 in funding, which is for seed funding. Now, companies which are eligible for the seed funding have received funding from the venture fund at the seed stage, but are showcasing promising results, do have the option and the ability to get additional funding from us and get growth funding anywhere between $200,000 to $400,000. And we provide this growth funding for one of two purposes. The first being we see that these solutions could expand their product offerings. And then the second one is to conduct deployments to really be able to scale pilots that you've developed at the seed stage. Now, this funding doesn't come alone. We have a very extensive technical mentorship program. It looks like just two words in the slide, but we actually have seven different thematic areas and streams of technical assistance, which includes, of course, working very closely with our blockchain team, in house team of front end and back end developers. We have open source mentors, also mentors for impact measurement, data privacy, trust, diversity, equity, inclusion, and most importantly, impact measurement. So that's the complete package. And it's not a standard one size fits all incubation program. It's a very personalized one where we try to understand the particular needs of a solution and then try to provide support to address challenges that you may be facing in scaling your solutions. To date, we've made 146 investments. So these investments are, of course, as you can see, in emerging markets. I mentioned we have a big range of investments also in female founders. And we invest, of course, across thematic areas. So we have a large range of thematic focus areas that we invest in, which, of course, align very well with the Sustainable Development Goals. We have solutions in education, health, job matching, and decent work and economic opportunity. And also, a large number of our investments are actually in industry, innovation, and infrastructure. And you'll see what I mean by that in just a minute. So on the programmatic side, we have solutions such as this is an AI solution. Actually, it's a solution that helps improve children's cognitive skills. It's an adaptive learning AI model, and it's based in Mexico. This solution, of course, very much aligned with education, is actually we invested in them in 2018. The company is now scaling its solution across the Latin American continent, and have signed actually a contract with the government of Guatemala to scale their solution to 1.5 million children. They've developed two games actually with UNICEF. One is called Toby, which is the cognitive skills. They've developed a second one, which is on math skills. But what's more interesting, and when I was saying on innovation in industry, is the key sort of infrastructure solutions that we invest in. And I think a lot of blockchain solutions really fit that lens. This is a solution from India. It's called Statwig. We invest in this company also actually in at the end of 2018, and we invest in them to help us track vaccines all the way from manufacturers to hospitals and consumers. They provide end-to-end tracking, and this solution is being used and actually is now being used even by UNICEF in different country offices for vaccines. But the same solution has also been used by the government of India for tracking rice bags. So, rice bags from farmers to government distribution centers. And what that does is really showcases how blockchain technology can be used for multiple purposes, as it's the underlying layer that can be cross sectoral and help address a large number of problems across different areas. Now, the venture fund, of course, as I mentioned, was launched in 2014. We have been around for a while, so we are able to now talk about what results look like. As seed stage companies, we don't always see these results, and it takes us a while to be able to reach a point where we can talk about beneficiaries. But we are now able to say that these seed stage companies over the years have been able to grow, sustain themselves, and scale. And as of today, we have 41.5 million beneficiaries across sectors. We've also seen that 56 UNICEF country offices, so UNICEF is a big organization. It's working for children. It's present in 159 program countries. By program countries here, I of course mean emerging markets. Um, so we have a large number of offices, and we're seeing clear pathways of scale for blockchain solutions to be picked by these country offices to solve challenges that they're facing on a day to day basis. Our companies have also been successful in raising follow on funding. So they've actually been able to generate 2.6x the funding that we've made in these companies. So we're really seeing the fund being catalytic in driving financing to markets that don't usually see such funding. And we're also excited to share that 64% of the portfolio is generating revenue and 40% of companies are actually profitable at the moment. Another sort of pathway that we're seeing emerge for the fund is that a large number, not a large, but at least seven companies from the portfolio, which is about 8% of our portfolio, have actually been acquired or have successfully exited. And this ranges anywhere between 6 million to 74 million. It's a wide range, but we're really seeing a big sort of push in these solutions being open source, but being scalable and being sort of acquired in and growing into much bigger solutions, in their journeys. So as I mentioned, the 56 country offices that are using our solutions, I'm just going to maybe share a couple examples here. So and these are on purpose not blockchain related because we have a few of those coming up. But here I'd like to share there's one particular example, which is actually a chatbot builder that we invested in Brazil. And the chatbot builder code, because it was created as an open source tool, is actually supporting now, just by themselves, they're actually supporting 35 different country offices for various different chatbots that UNICEF requires, caters to in different markets. Bebo is an example of a solution which is a chatbot builder, which is for early childhood development for parents. So it helps them and provides them on advice for looking after children. They actually also support a large number of other chatbots. There's one on menstruation, there's one on just violence, online violence, there's also one on online safety. So there's a large number of use cases. Another example here is that of Cloudline, and here is a drone that I'm talking about, which Cloudline is a company based in South Africa. They've actually created a airship, and this airship is being used to deliver medical supplies in remote areas. And they're actually conducting pilots with a couple of UNICEF country offices, in some cases to develop breast milk, in some cases to develop vaccines or life saving supplies. And now coming to more of the interesting part on our blockchain exploration. So blockchain, I don't expect you to have a look at this whole slide with all the sort of info here. The reason I'm actually sharing this is because um, we want we we want to share that at UNICEF we've actually been exploring and experimenting with blockchain use cases since 2015. We started on very early. We were conducting a lot of internal prototyping. We had our blockchain team back then as well, and has only grown over time. We started, of course, cautiously and slowly to understand the technology, to build our own knowledge and capacity to understand the tech and see how we can leverage it for UNICEF. We then started making investments in solutions through the venture fund in blockchain solutions. Later in 2019, we actually launched the first crypto fund. And then And since then, we've been exploring new and different use cases. So, on just the different cohorts that we've invested in, we've exclusively invested in three specific blockchain cohorts. But we also have invested as part of other cohorts, say, for instance, on climate or on, on education and health. We've also invested in some blockchain solutions, but three specific ones we had on blockchain. The first one was more around digital certification, supply chain. That's where Statwig came from, transparent funding, and impact investing. The second one was exclusively on financial inclusion, which was looking at remittances, humanitarian cash transfers, something that we're still extremely interested in and looking to grow our solutions and our offerings in. And most recently, we've actually invested in a cohort on digital inclusion. This one's really looking at automated payments, improving financial flows, generating transparency, and leveraging smart contracts for for payment of automated payments for resources that are being provided, especially in UNICEF contexts. I would like to also share that the fintech cohort has actually been one of the most successful and fastest growing portfolios that we've had at the venture fund across technology areas. And I think that's really representative and reflective of where the blockchain industry and blockchain ecosystem is at. We saw within the 12-month period of investment, the portfolio was actually able to generate $4 million dollars in follow on funding within that year. We had one company that was acquired, which was ETHGlobal FinTech. We also had different sort of portfolio collaborations where companies were working together. Again, a very strong reflection of the blockchain ecosystem. We had actually the very first company to give back to the fund, and of course, had over 700,000 beneficiaries reached in that year. So here's a snapshot of some of the companies. You'll see we had one, which is BX Smart Labs from Mexico, which is actually decentralized saving circles. Very basic concept on chain, making it so much more efficient and transparent. Kotani Pay, actually, they recently raised $2 million. They're a company based in Kenya, an on ramp, off ramp for crypto, doing exceedingly well and really a leader of the cohort of this cohort in many ways. Another one that we find super exciting, and is also the one that actually gave back to the fund, there's a slide on that, is Xcapit. They're actually a gamified savings platform. I'll come to how they actually did the return to the fund. And then there's RoomSun. RoomSun is particularly interesting for us because, as I mentioned, they're working on the digital cash and voucher assistance management system. Um, and here you'll see is an example. They graduated from the fund back in 2022, and they actually were contracted in response to the floods in Nepal to provide cash transfer assistance and support. Uh, in collaboration with the Nepali government and the UNICEF country office to essentially use on chain tokenized transfers so that they can make sure that they're reaching a large number of beneficiaries in a much faster and quicker time period. And so they were actually able to reach 1900 households, which was over 10,000 beneficiaries and included over, I believe, 2000 children. And the main sort of success of this use case was that they were able to bring down the transaction time, which normally takes a few days, to 28 seconds. And for us, that was a really sort of powerful representation of what we can do with blockchain technology. Oh, here are the stats. So you can see the women impacted, reaching unbanked beneficiaries. They also actually integrated with the different sort of systems to ensure they could reach beneficiaries using SMS. They actually also integrated with an IVR system, which is an integrated voice response system, so that for those who are unable to read, are not literate, they were able to reach them as well by sharing voice messages. so that they could understand how to use the token, how do they redeem it, where do they go, how do they actually get cash and get the cash transfer in their hands. This is actually the return that I was talking about. Xcapit, the company from Argentina, they actually did an NFT sale, and while the value was little, I think what was very important for us was the concept of having a venture fund investee find a new way of giving back to the fund. So the venture fund actually does not take equity. If I didn't say that before, we see our return on investment as the open source IP that's generated during the investment period. So for us to see a venture fund investee see the value in the fund and then sort of give back to the fund was actually a really incredible sort of milestone. We then in 2022 invested in the digital inclusion cohort. And this cohort, I think, really helps us sort of move away and look beyond even reaching the unbanked populations into seeing how we can do business and do it faster and do it more transparently across our systems. And so we have Convexity, which is from Nigeria. They've developed Chats, which is again a digital cash and voucher assistance platform. We also have WeCare, which is from the Democratic Republic of Congo. They're actually looking at seeing how they can direct remittances towards healthcare on chain. A pretty interesting use case, but also a pretty complex one, considering the different intermediaries involved as well as regulations. And then we have Xmesh and Invest Tools. They're actually working very closely to see how we can incentivize internet service providers using blockchain technology and using the benefits of blockchain technology in different ways to improve and enhance connectivity in remote areas. So, so really helping us drive our mission forward in really really unique ways. I also wanted to bring here just to show you an example of what it would mean to not just be a part of a blockchain cohort. So we've just invested in a cohort of climate action companies, as we call them. There are 8 companies from 8 countries, but 2 of the 8 are actually blockchain solutions. So I've brought them in here. One of them is Z Labs. They're from Trinidad and Tobago, and they're essentially developing a community token, which is backed or is essentially to reward positive actions or climate positive actions. But what they're also doing is testing use cases with geo NFTs. Both very interesting for UNICEF and for us to see how we can leverage again for our programmatic purposes. And the second one is Isis Farms from Uganda, and they're actually experimenting with a parametric insurance use case to see how they could have a blockchain based insurance platform uh, to provide automated insurance for smallholder farmers at the time of a climate disaster. So, again, it's a very interesting way for us to see how we as an organization can push blockchain technology solutions to be used for very core programmatic areas at UNICEF. And with that, is a little bit adjustment on the slide, but coming to just our crypto fund, we launched the crypto fund in 2019 with the purpose of being able to leverage not just the efficiency and transparency um, of cryptocurrencies, but really to be able to see how we can tap into new resources, how we can use crypto for programmatic purposes, as you're seeing in the blockchain tokenized aid assistance. But also we're keen to look at uh, blockchain sorry crypto aid assistance solutions as well. But more importantly, and something that's the most important for us when we launched the crypto fund, was really to be able to see how we as UNICEF can build UNICEF's institutional muscle memory in operating in a digital future or a digitally financed future. And so that's been something that's super important to us at the crypto fund and at the venture fund. We've of course been able to, not surprising to this audience, I'm sure, uh, be able to leverage 100% on the transparency, show to our donors how we are moving our funding. We require companies to spend their investment in crypto as well. So providing end-to-end transparency on the flow of crypto. And coming just towards the end, I'd like to really call out the opportunity that we've had for our startups and in essentially leveraging innovative financial models. We had a Gitcoin round for quadratic funding for 10 of our companies. So 10 companies that were actually registered as certified open source solutions participated with us and with Gitcoin in a quadratic funding round, and we actually put out a 50 ETH matching pool, and were able to leverage 15,500 individual contributions, raising an additional 67.5 ETH and close to 15,000 DAI in this pilot that we conducted together. Um, I already spoke with you on just cash transfers, but the reason we're particularly interested in exploring crypto based transfers is, of course, looking at visibility, the end to end visibility it provides us, reducing the time significantly. As I told you, just even tokenizing it brought the time down to 28 seconds. And lastly, the cost by eliminating and subtracting intermediaries from our cash transfer programs, we're really able to also benefit on the cost side. And with that, I just want to put out a call to action. We are always keen to work with blockchain developers, to work with the ecosystem and the community. We are always looking at technical collaborations on our crypto and cash transfer work. We're looking at staking and other innovative financial modeling opportunities. And most importantly, also on our smart contract auditing capabilities. And at the venture fund, you always have the opportunity to be able to apply to an open call for funding. We do provide the $100,000 in both cryptocurrency and fiat. So at any point in time, please feel free, if you do have a solution that is connected to children or can impact the lives of children in a positive way, to apply to us with your solution. And with that, I we are done for everything related to the crypto fund. You can go to our website, which is unicefventurefund.org, in case you're keen to learn more about our programming. You can also go to our crypto fund, which is cryptofund.unicef.io, to actually see the movement of funds, to see the solutions we've invested in, and also to be able to track the end-to-end movement of all of the crypto we've received so far.